Hey guys, so welcome back. It's been a minute since I did a voiceover, so I decided to do one on here. But I'm going in with a fine sanding band and I'm just removing the shine off of the natural nail bed. This is just so that way we won't get any lifting throughout our application process. And I like to focus mainly around the cuticle area because that's where majority of our lifting comes from. So now I'm just going to dust off the excess dust because that is another way we will get lifting. And then I'm going to go in with my nail glue and apply it at the tip of my client's natural nail bed. And then I'm going to apply the tips. You want to make sure your tips fit sidewall to sidewall. You don't want them too small nor too big. But if you can't find a size that fits your client's natural nail bed properly, you can go with the highest up and then you can just shape as you go. Now I'm just going to cut the tips to my client's desired length. I typically like to cut the length longer than what my clients ask for because I do tend to shape a lot. And also you want to cut the second hand longer than the first hand, so that way the second hand isn't shorter than what you originally wanted the length to be. Also, I'm going to measure my client's tips side by side, well, cuticle to cuticle, just to make sure each nail is the same length. Now I'm just going to reshape the tips. As you can see, these tips are already shaped for you, but I like to go in just to remove any tips that might have gotten glued onto my client's sidewall. And then I just like to perfect it as well. These tips are from Amazon. You can find it in the description below. I was using Cheyenne nail tips, which they are perfect, but I got these off of Amazon, and if you know, Amazon comes in within like the next day, so that's why I prefer these tips a lot better, but they pretty much work the same. These are perfect. I love them ever since I found them off of Amazon. So that's pretty much what I do with this process. I just like to go in and reshape and perfect the shape that I'm going for. All right, so now I'm just going to go in with that same fine sanding band, and I'm going to blend the tips in with my client's natural nail bed so we can get that perfect foundation when it comes down to laying our acrylic. So again, I'm going to dust off the excess dust, and then I'm going to go in with my Valentino dehydrator. This is just to dry out the nail, and then I'm going to go in with my primer to get my acrylic to adhere to the natural nail bed. Okay, so now onto the fun part. We're going to apply a small bead just where we laid our tips, and then I'm going to push everything to the center and just tap everything so that way I know I have full control over this bead. And then I'm going to just gently drag everything downwards and just flatten everything out so it's as smooth as possible. I'm also going to tilt my client's finger to the side just to see if there's any bumpy areas that I left behind, and I'm going to go in and fix that if needed. So I just realized this was an ombre nail, and then this one is also going to be an ombre nail, and I'm just going to do the same process as I did on the pinky. But this is also a process that I do when I'm doing just a regular basic set. I start off with this bead at the tip, and then I go in with a second bead just over where I laid that one, and then I go with the cuticle bead. It's the same process, but this one I'm actually making it as thin as possible, just so that way when I go in with my pink when I'm doing an ombre and then go in with the clear, is not as thick because I made that color thinner than usual. So now I'm just going to create a marble effect with this nail. I'm going to go in with a clear white and then the purple that I used for my ombre. And I'm just going to mess around and just like play with it really, just to get that marble effect that I'm looking for. All right, so now I'm just going to go in with my loose glitter that I mixed with clear. It's not runny. It may look runny, but it's not, I promise. I just didn't add in enough clear just because I didn't want it to be see-through. Almost, I wanted as much coverage as possible, so that's why I didn't use a lot of clear. But it's not runny, I promise. I got a lot of people complaining about this glitter being runny. It's a loose glitter, it's not like acrylic at all. But just to get that perfect bead or consistency, you want to add in more clear, so that way it's not as runny. But for me personally, I wanted the glitter to have as much coverage as possible. But I'm just going to apply that onto the nail like I did the pinky and the thumb, because this will be an ombre nail. And then I'm just going to clean up the sides and make sure my shape is still intact, and just clean it up as much as possible. This nail is going to be all glitter, so I'm going to go in and place my first bead where I applied my tip, and then I'm just going to form it and shape it as much as possible. I won't have too much control over this acrylic, only because, like I stated before, it's not really acrylic, it's loose glitter, so it's a bit runnier. And then I'm going to just clean up the sides to just make sure my shape is still there. And then this application is going to be a lot thinner, only because I'm going to go in with clear acrylic just to cap this glitter, so that way when I go in with my drill, this glitter effect won't change. Now I'm going to go in with my last bead, and I'm going to place that just above where I placed my first bead, and I'm going to push everything upwards and then gently drag everything down. If you do get acrylic onto the skin, you want to make sure you go in with your acrylic brush just to clean around the cuticle area, because that can also create lifting. And it looks thin right now, like I stated before. I'm going to go in with clear just to make everything thicker. I just don't want to lose the look of this glitter when I go in with my drill. So now I'm going to go in with my pink, and then I'm going to apply that just above where I placed that first bead, and then I'm going to gently drag everything downwards. I know some people start at the cuticle area and then go down, but for some reason my ombre never looks good when I do it that way. So that's why I like to go in with this second bead just above where I laid that first bead, and then get that like perfect ombre look, and then I go in with the cuticle bead. All right, so now I'm just going to go in with some clear acrylic, and this is just so that way our design won't come off once it comes down to drilling. So the clear acrylic pretty much just protects the design from coming off, as well as the marble nail and the glitter nail. I'm just applying clear acrylic on all of them so that way my design will stay intact and won't come off once it comes down to drilling. All right, so now I'm just going to go in with my 100 grit hand file, and I'm going to reshape the nail to my liking and my client's liking as well. But as you can see, I don't have too much reshaping to do, only because I do like to make sure my foundation is as neat as possible, so I won't have too much to do when it comes to this process. But I'm just going to hold my client's nail down so I'm not hurting them, and then I'm going to focus on the sidewall just to remove any acrylic that might have gotten left onto the skin. All right, so now I'm going to go in with my fine carbide bit, and right now I'm just focusing around the cuticle area just to remove any acrylic that might have gotten left onto the skin, and then I'm going to smooth the rest of the nail out. Also, I like to tilt my client's fingers to the side just to smooth out the rest of the nail and make sure there's no bumps that might have gotten left behind. I'm going to go in with my buffer just to remove any specks that might have gotten left onto the nail. This pretty much just makes your gel application a lot smoother when you go in with that. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my gel top coat. Also, when doing this process, you want to make sure your nails are completely lint free. If you do get lint on the nail, you want to make sure you go in with a wet alcohol wipe and then remove the lint off, because if you do have lint on the nail, it will show up once you apply your gel top coat. All right, so before I cure my client's hands under the lamp, I like to wipe off the sides with my finger just to remove any excess gel that might have rolled over, and then cure it under the lamp for 60 seconds. Now I'm going to go in with my cuticle oil, and that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bells on so you guys can get notified whenever I upload, and I'll see you guys in the next one.